Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and controversial stories coming out of Russia right now. The story of the bridge that Russia can't rebuild. A symbol of power, politics, and pride, this bridge has become more than just concrete and steel. It's a mirror reflecting the crisis inside Moscow itself. So sit tight as we unpack the truth behind what's really happening, why it matters, and how it's reshaping the future of Russia. For years, Russia has prided itself on its engineering marvels. Structures that weren't just about transportation, but about national identity. Bridges in particular have been a recurring symbol of connection, connecting cities, territories, and ideologies. But recently, one specific bridge has come to represent something far more troubling, a wound that refuses to heal. A project Moscow desperately wants to finish but can't. This bridge, destroyed, damaged, and now politically frozen, stands as a painful reminder of a promise unfulfilled. It's not just about the physical reconstruction, it's about the message it sends to the world. The Kremlin wants to show control, power, and capability. Yet this bridge keeps reminding everyone that things aren't going according to plan. To understand why this bridge matters, we have to look back a few years. It was once celebrated as a masterpiece of Russian engineering, a link that connected crucial territories and symbolized Moscow's dominance. But when it was destroyed during a time of conflict, everything changed. The explosion didn't just rip through the steel, it ripped through the image of an invincible Russia. When the first reports came out about the destruction, Moscow quickly promised to rebuild it. Speeches were made, resources were allocated, and deadlines were set. The government assured everyone that it was only a matter of months before the bridge would be standing tall again. But months turned into years, and the bridge still remains incomplete. The reasons are complex, tangled between politics, sanctions, economic struggle, and war. Russia's once powerful construction sector now faces material shortages, international restrictions, and declining investor confidence. Many of the companies that used to supply advanced construction technology are no longer accessible. The isolation is cut deep, and the cracks are showing not only in the bridge but in the entire system that once sustained Moscow's infrastructure dreams. Inside Russia, state media continues to paint a confident picture. They call it a temporary setback, emphasizing that reconstruction is ongoing and that the government has everything under control. But satellite images, local footage, and eyewitness accounts tell a different story. One of half-finished structures, abandoned machinery, and endless delays. People living near the bridge talk about how life has changed. What was once a busy route filled with trade and travel is now eerily quiet. For local communities, the bridge was more than a crossing. It was a lifeline. Now, that lifeline has been severed, leaving them isolated both economically and emotionally. Internationally, the bridge has become a symbol of defiance and weakness at the same time. For Russia, it's a reminder of resistance, that no matter what happens, they'll try to rebuild. But for critics, it's proof that Moscow's grip is slipping. A country that once projected strength through its infrastructure is now struggling to restore what was lost. The deeper problem, however, isn't just about one bridge. It's about what it represents. A larger crisis in Moscow's political and economic machinery. The inability to rebuild it reflects the growing cracks in the system itself. Corruption, mismanagement, and internal competition have all played their part. Money flows in, but progress doesn't follow. Contractors are changed, officials replaced, and plans redrawn, but the outcome stays the same. Every delay adds to public frustration. Every new promise is met with skepticism. And for a government that relies heavily on projecting confidence, that's a dangerous situation. There's also a psychological side to this story. For many Russians, the bridge was more than infrastructure. It was a symbol of connection between past and future, between stability and pride. Watching it lie broken has become a painful metaphor for the country's current state. It's as if something deep inside the nation is also fractured. The Kremlin knows this. That's why state-controlled media continues to push optimistic updates, showing limited repairs as major achievements. Drone footage of trucks and cranes is circulated to create the illusion of momentum. But behind the propaganda, insiders admit that the project faces enormous difficulties, not only technical, but also logistical and financial. Sanctions have cut off access to high-grade materials, specialized engineering tools, and foreign expertise that used to be quietly imported. Domestic alternatives exist, but they're often lower in quality or slower to produce. The result is a constant struggle between ambition and reality. Economists have started to warn that this bridge could become a long-term symbol of decline, a visible reminder of how sanctions and isolation can cripple even the most confident powers. Moscow doesn't want that image, but the longer the reconstruction drags on, the more it becomes impossible to hide. And then there's the question of pride. National pride is a fragile thing, especially when it's built on symbols. Russia has always used large-scale projects to showcase its global stature, from pipelines to railways, from stadiums to bridges. These constructions weren't just about utility. They were statements of dominance. To lose one and fail to rebuild it feels like a humiliation. In recent interviews, officials insist that rebuilding is progressing as planned, but many observers believe those statements are more about saving face than reporting facts. Engineers who have spoken, off the record, describe enormous technical hurdles ranging from unstable foundations to supply disruptions. Some even suggest that the damage was so severe that full restoration may be impossible without external help, something Moscow cannot accept politically. So the bridge stands half repaired, like a scar on the landscape, a monument to overconfidence and the limits of isolation. Meanwhile, ordinary people are the ones who suffer most. The routes that depended on the bridge now require long detours, increasing travel times and costs. Goods that once moved easily are now delayed, driving up prices and frustrating local businesses. Every broken connection ripples outward, deepening the sense of crisis. For Moscow, this bridge has become a test of resilience. Can it truly overcome international isolation, or is it trapped in its own narrative of control? Every crane that moves, every truck that carries steel becomes a political statement. Every delay a quiet admission of struggle. The world watches closely. Western analysts point to the bridge as proof that sanctions are working, that Russia's industrial backbone is weakening. But inside Russia, people are divided. Some see it as an external attack on their sovereignty. Others see it as the government's own failure to adapt. This divide inside Russian society is growing. While propaganda keeps morale high on the surface, the daily reality of shortages, delays, and broken infrastructure paints a different picture. There's a widening gap between what people are told and what they see with their own eyes. The bridge story has now transcended engineering. It's become a metaphor for the state itself. Sturdy on paper, fractured in practice, ambitious in vision, but struggling in execution. Every few months, a new announcement comes out. A new phase of construction, a new deadline, but people no longer celebrate. They've heard it all before. The excitement has turned into exhaustion. Trust has eroded, and yet, there's still hope in small places. Some engineers, working tirelessly despite the odds, still believe they can finish it. Local workers continue to show up every day, even when salaries are delayed. For them, it's not about politics. It's about pride in their craft, and the belief that one day the bridge will stand again. But as the months pass, the challenges multiply. Equipment breaks down, budgets tighten, corruption seeps through contracts, and the global market remains closed off. Behind closed doors, Moscow's strategists are debating whether to continue pouring money into the project or quietly shift focus elsewhere. Some argue that abandoning it would be a sign of weakness. Others believe that continuing a losing battle drains resources from more urgent needs. No matter the decision, the symbolism is impossible to erase. The bridge, once a showpiece, is now a burden, and as long as it remains incomplete, it will continue to haunt the image of a strong and self-sufficient Russia. Analysts believe that this single project reflects a broader pattern across the country: aging infrastructure, slowing innovation, and an over-reliance on propaganda instead of practical reform. Moscow's crisis is not just about war or sanctions. It's about the inability to rebuild, to renew, to adapt. In this way, the bridge tells the story of a nation caught between its past glory and uncertain future, a country that can destroy, but now struggles to rebuild, a power that still speaks loudly, but whose foundations are quietly crumbling. Somewhere, under all the politics and the headlines, lies the simple human story of workers who just want to finish what they started, of families waiting for connection, of engineers trying to make sense of limited tools. These people are the silent backbone of this entire saga. But will they ever see their bridge completed? That question remains unanswered. Perhaps one day the bridge will stand again, rebuilt from the rubble, shining under the Russian sun, a symbol once more of endurance. Or perhaps it will remain as it is, a scar that never fully heals, a warning written in steel and concrete about the limits of pride and the cost of isolation. Either way, this story will be remembered, because in the end, it's not just about architecture or construction. It's about identity, resilience, and truth. Russia's struggle to rebuild the bridge is, in many ways, its struggle to rebuild itself. The steel may bend, the concrete may crack, but the meaning remains, deep, raw, and powerful. And as the world watches, the question lingers, can Moscow truly rebuild what's been broken? Not just the bridge, but the trust, the economy, and the illusion of invincibility? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The bridge that Russia can't rebuild will continue to stand as a symbol, silent yet thunderous, of a nation caught between power and paralysis. Thank you all for watching. If you found this deep dive insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful explorations into global events and untold stories. Stay curious, stay aware, and never stop seeking the truth. Until next time, keep your mind open and your perspective wide.